Okay, so how on earth does a YouTube channel that's all about a single, unified theory of everything, we're talking dreams, culture, the whole shebang, even get off the ground, let alone find a dedicated audience? Well, today we're doing a deep dive into the absolutely brilliant content strategy behind a channel that proves that sometimes going deep is way more powerful than going viral. We're going to uncover how they managed to turn some seriously complex ideas into a thriving, loyal community. So, first off, what is this channel even about? Well, it's all built around this one massive idea called the Brain Kinematics Model, or BKM for short. In a nutshell, it suggests our minds aren't like computers at all. Instead, it sees them as these continuous systems where our thoughts, our dreams, even our culture are all just different expressions of strain and flow. Yeah, it's incredibly heady stuff, which, immediately brings up a huge question, right? You're not exactly going to make a viral dance video about neural conceptual systems. So how in the world do you build, and more importantly, keep an audience for material that is this dense? That's the real mystery we're unpacking here. And it turns out the answer was hiding in plain sight, right inside their own analytics. Okay, so first things first, we have to get a handle on what this channel is. This is not your average pop science channel. Its whole identity is built on being incredibly specific and, honestly, deliberately niche. See, the channel's entire game plan is built on depth, not breadth. It's totally unapologetically intellectual, and it's not even trying to be for everybody. Its real strength comes from building up massive authority with a super dedicated community by framing every single piece of content as part of one giant evolving theory. You gotta think of it more like a public research project, not just a bunch of random videos. So if you're not just chasing the latest trend, how do you figure out what to make next? Well, you have to become a bit of a detective. You start looking for clues in your own audience data. And when the folks behind this channel did just that, a really clear pattern started to pop out. When they actually dug into their analytics, the picture was unmistakable. People weren't showing up for the one-off isolated case studies. No, they were hungry for the big picture. They wanted the framework, the blueprint that connected all the different dots. And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? A massive 80% of their top-performing videos were the ones that tackled the core unified theory head-on. After that, deep dives into dream mechanics and how the theory explains culture. This tells you people weren't just dipping a toe in the water, they were cannonballing into the deep end. And this led to the big aha moment. The key insight was that the audience didn't just want descriptions of things, they wanted explanations. They were there for the nuts and bolts, the why and the how of it all. And, understanding that fundamentally changes everything about your content strategy. Okay, this is where it gets really, really cool. That big data insight revealed that the channel's content wasn't just a random list of topics. There was already a structure there, a natural hierarchy that was already working its magic. The creators realized that all their most successful content was naturally arranging itself into a pyramid. Now, this wasn't something they planned from day one. It was a structure that just emerged from what the audience was telling them they wanted. And figuring out this pyramid became the absolute key to their entire strategy going forward. All right, let's build this thing out together. Right at the very top, the absolute peak, that's the core theory, the BKM. That's level 0. Right underneath that, at level 1, you've got the foundational concepts, stuff like consciousness and residual strain. And then just below that, at level 2, you have the really high engagement mechanisms. How dreams and symbols and language actually work. These top levels are the source of all the channel's authority. As we move down the pyramid, the topics get broader. So level 3 is where you get applications, like how this stuff applies to mental health. Level 4 starts exploring these cool cultural connections to things like art and philosophy. And then the base, level 5, that's where they tackle the huge societal systems. These broader topics at the bottom, they're the entry points. They're designed for reach, to bring new people into this whole world. So here it is, the whole model in one shot. It's so elegant. The top of the pyramid, levels 0 and 1, that's what builds your authority. That middle layer, level 2, that's what drives crazy engagement. And that wide, welcoming base, levels 3 to 5, that's what creates reach. Authority, engagement, and reach. Every single level has a job to do. So what do you do once you find this hidden pyramid in your content? Well, you don't just admire it. You turn it from a cool observation into a deliberate, actionable strategy. This is where insight becomes an action plan. A channel like this really has two paths it can go down. There's the algorithm chasing path. You jump on whatever's trending, chase those short-term views, and you usually end up with a brand that's a total mess. Or You can take the authority-first path, which is what this channel did. That means you focus on strengthening your core ideas first, which builds real long-term value and attracts a super loyal audience that's there for the substance, not the hype. And here's what that strategy actually looks like on paper. A super clear 12-video roadmap. Phase 1. You double down and reinforce the foundations. Phase 2. You lean into those juicy, high-engagement topics, like dreams. And only then, once the foundation is rock solid, do you move into Phase 3, expanding out into broader topics for reach. See, you build from the top of the pyramid down, from authority out to reach. But there is one golden rule, one critical, non-negotiable rule that holds this entire thing together. It doesn't matter how broad the topic is, if you're talking about art or society or mental health, every single video has to explicitly tie back to the core BKM theory. That's the secret sauce. That's what ensures coherence and constantly reinforces what makes the channel unique. And that brings us to the big finale, the ultimate lesson from this entire case study. It's a really simple idea, but it's so powerful, and it applies to literally any project that's trying to tackle complex ideas. The real power of this channel doesn't come from any single video going viral. It comes from the fact that every video fits together to form a single coherent picture. The value isn't in any one piece, it's in the entire system. And this right here is the magic formula. It's so brilliant. You start with one powerful core theory. Then you show how that theory can be applied across many, many different domains. But, and this is key, you always use the same consistent explanatory language. That is how you build an entire universe of content that feels interconnected, profound, and incredibly valuable. So I'm going to leave you with this question to chew on. For whatever it is you're building, a channel, a business, a brand, what's the single coherent idea that sits at the very core? Because as this whole story proves, having a strong, coherent core is infinitely more valuable than chasing 1,000 fleeting trends. Find your coherence.